this is the last video for this section on word problems. We're going to take a look. We actually have three different kind of steps in this problem. We start out with L liters of liquid in a container. After 2/3 of the liquid was poured out, another 2.5 liters was added. And so that's going to be my next kind of step. And then 1/4 of the liquid was poured out, 4 liters remained. What was the original amount? So if originally I had this much, and then 2/3 of that is poured out. So I need to break this into thirds, and 2/3 of that is poured out. So we're left with only 1/3 left. And then I need to add 2.5 liters. I don't know how big the 2.5 is. It's not 2.5 of this amount, it's 2.5 liters. So I'm just going to put a 2.5 on here. Then from there, 1/4 of that amount was poured out. So I'm going to actually just copy this. 1/4 of that was poured out. So cut it in half. Cut it in half again. So 1/4 of that was poured out. 4 liters remained. This is 4 liters. And so now it asks what was the original amount. So from here, I think I can just work backwards. I can take the 4 liters. Oh, look at this again. I'm getting a different answer than the last time I worked the problem. So think this through with me. There were L liters of liquid. After 2/3 was poured out, so this and this are poured out, another 2.5 liters was poured into the container. So this is the new amount. When 1/4 of the liquid, I would say at this stage, 1/4 of that was poured out, 4 liters remained. Okay, so let's work backwards then. What was the original amount of liquid in the container? So if this is 4 liters, then each of these little pieces would divide by 3. That would be 4/3 of a liter. So this whole amount here would be 4/3 times 4, which is 16/3 of a liter. So this had to be 16/3. So if I want to know what this part is here, I've got to take 16/3 minus 2.5. So 16/3, I'm doing it in my calculator, minus 2.5, change it to a fraction, I get 17/6. So this little piece here was 17/6 of a liter. And then I come up here and I have 3 of those. So 17/6 times 3 is going to give us 17/2. Which is going to be 8.5 liters. So let's try this out and double check my work here. So if it starts with 8.5 liters and I divide that by 3, because 2/3 gets poured out, I'm left with 17/6. I then add 2.5 liters to it to get 16/3 of a gallon. I then pour out 1/4 of the liquid, so I'm going to take that times 3/4, because I have 3/4 left. I should get 4 liters, and I do. And so the original amount of liquid in the container was 8.5 liters. A lot going on there. Do I dare try this with algebra? Let's see. So I originally have L liters. Pouring out 2/3 means I will have 1/3 L left. and I add 2.5 liters to that. And then I pour out a fourth, so that means I have 3/4 left, and that is equal to 4 liters. And so now the question is how to solve this. A couple ways of doing this, however works for you. I suppose I'll distribute first. When I distribute, I get 1/4 L plus 3/4 of 2.5. I think I did this earlier, didn't I? No. Gives me 15/8 equals 4. 1/4 of L equals, subtract the 15/8 from both sides. That gives me 17/8. Multiply both sides by 4, and I get 17/2, or 8.5 liters. And there I've solved it algebraically and with a strip diagram. So I do want you to know both methods. This is probably a more complex problem than you really need to be able to master, but it should